Well, Meta I just recently launched in Sri Lanka, so that's exciting. We're very excited that it's available here. It's now available, I think, in over 200 countries,
Awesome.
and we hope we can reach in more. It's like you need a holistic strategy. It's not just about looking at one angle of it's both the sword and the shield. More general frameworks of saying, hey, if you're going to use this technology, you have to use it responsibly. You have to be transparent with your users. It's really having that AI first mindset to say, like, how can I integrate AI in my work?
Hello, sir. Great to have you in our podcast booth today. How are you doing? And just a quick introduction about you as well.
Sure, yeah. Look, it's always great to be in Sri Lanka. It's an amazing city. I'm coming from one island nation to another. I'm based in Singapore. I've been here many times, but it's exciting to be here at the Cybersecurity Summit. My name is Sarim. I'm Director for Public Policy at Meta. I've been at the company 9 years. Computer scientist by education, but now I've been more recently more and more interested in policy issues affecting countries like Sri Lanka and across the region.
Awesome. It's a really pleasure to have you to share your experience throughout Meta. 9 years is crazy. If I just jump off to the topic, what would you say in terms of AI and automation are both like a solution and a threat to cybersecurity? And how do you see this dual role playing out in the real world in cybersecurity?
Yeah. Look, it's obviously, you can't deny it's an exciting time to be in technology, and AI makes it even more exciting. Like any technology, when I was growing up, like, it was about the internet and with the potential and of course the risks of the internet, and this were being debated. I kind of see a similar kind of debates happening on the benefits of the technology, and of course with every technology there's risks that. So I think that with any individual organization, governments that are looking at this technology, I think you have to kind of take it in that same spirit that this is going to be the future of computing with AI. And so whatever we do, whatever applications you're building, you have to, of course, have a pro-innovation mindset to be able to innovate with this technology while also addressing the risks and ensuring that you're doing the necessary testing. You're using the tools that are available for you to check for cybersecurity risks. User education is a really important part of this as well, to make sure that your users are equipped to in these situations of being able to mitigate those risks as well.
Yeah.
So it's a holistic. You need a holistic strategy. It's not just about looking at one angle of it's both the sword and the shield. And
True.
Yeah.
In terms of cybersecurity regulations, how do you see these cybersecurity regulations like the GDPR Act or privacy laws getting evolved with AI, getting evolved in the next 5 years in your perspective?
Yeah, I think in tech generally, we've seen this trend that it's by the time regulations come about, the technology tends to evolve, and I think that's certainly true for AI. It is evolving faster than even regulators can try and keep up with the way it's evolving. But having said that, I do think there are lots of great examples around the world, including in this region, where governments are taking a balanced approach. I don't think necessarily you have to look at one specific country, but if you look at great frameworks like the G7 AI framework, the OECD AI principles.
Yeah.
The general guidance is pretty consistent, and the theme is pretty consistent with all these regulations. And they're more general frameworks of saying, hey, if you're going to use this technology, you have to use it responsibly. You have to be transparent with your users. You have to make sure that there's, you address your biases in the technology, and you keep it safe. Safety and all that. So I think these are like the principles that generally most of these frameworks have, and they're flexible enough for where they don't stifle innovation, but at the same time encourage the developers of these technologies to be, to innovate in a responsible fashion.
In terms of like Meta AI and Meta, what would the world see in the future, and how quickly it's evolving? It's really evolving faster. In your perspective and your experience throughout, what could we see next in terms of Meta and Meta AI?
Well, Meta I just recently launched in Sri Lanka, so that's exciting. We're very excited that it's available here. It's now available, I think, in over 200 countries,
Awesome.
And we hope we can reach in more. But the idea is that this is, clearly going to be the world's most accessible, most widely used personal assistant.
Yeah.
That's what we want Meta AI to be. It's built on top of this technology called LLaMA, and this LLaMA is actually an open source large language model, which is accessible to developers in Sri Lanka and around the world. So this is the beauty of it. So Meta AI is built on top of LLaMA. Of course, it has a lot of other functionality, but like that core model that was used in Meta AI is actually available to developers, startups, businesses, enterprises here. So I think that's the opportunity that really we're excited about in terms of an open source approach. But look, there's obviously a race to get to super intelligence and to get to artificial intelligence. That's what our company is currently focused on. So I guess you'll have to stay tuned to see what comes next.
Amazing.
Yeah.
If I just ask you, in your experience throughout, we see lots of youngsters, trying to get into cybersecurity and studying it and finding it really really cool in our perspective. What is that one advice that you could give to these youngsters?
Yeah, I see a lot of debates around this. A lot of people now are, saying, well, because of AI, you don't need to get into like computer science and cybersecurity, because it's
because it can be get replaced.
Yeah, and I think there's a bit of fear in that. And I did computer science back in,
you are still.
Well, yeah, and I think the difference is, as some speakers said, it's not a question of whether you should learn coding. Of course you should learn coding. It's, I think the good analogy is, if there's a demand for cars is going up, like, would you not want to have good engineers that can build good cars? Of course there's lots of people driving the car, right? But there's fewer people who know how to actually design and build a really good car, right? So similarly, I think you need experts who understand this technology, who understand the risks of this technology, who can build good quality, solutions based on AI. Who can, actually. AI can do a lot of it. I think AI is helping. It's definitely assisting in many fields, including cybersecurity as well. But I think I would say, like, whatever you do is just make sure, like, you think of it like it's like a calculator, right? Like when you're doing math, like, sure, you can do the math like by doing all the calculation. You need to understand how to do it. A calculator can help and make your life a bit easier, and so you can focus on more difficult problems, right?
Absolutely.
So I think that's sort of the mindset we should keep. It's really having that AI first mindset to say, like, how can I integrate AI in my work? So that, and I think that also means that the education academia has to change as well, right? So in terms of what are we testing for? I think right now I see a lot of testing for, is AI used or not, and I think that's really the wrong kind of approach. And really it should be, well, now that you assume that young engineers or young educators, students have access to AI, what should we really be testing for? Right, I think the assessments and everything needs to change with the times.
Absolutely. Finally, what would the community and Sri Lanka receive from cybersecurity summits like this? How would that be like an impact to everyone?
Look, I think these kinds of summits are really important. We need industry companies like Meta, local industry experts and leaders here in Sri Lanka. We need civil society. We need academics who are doing all the research on this stuff, and government to come together and think about, like, what does Sri Lanka need? Where are we progressing well? Where do we need to make more investments? Where are there gaps in the infrastructure? Where are there gaps in education, talent? So I do think it's been really exciting conversations we here, really important dialogues, and setting the roadmap for Sri Lanka on how to leverage and take advantage of AI to go into the future as leaders.
Awesome. Thank you so much, and wishing you all the best with Meta, and keep achieving those heights. And
Thank
I
you.
would love to see you again.
It's a pleasure
in
to
Sri
be
Lanka.
here. Thanks
Thank
for
you so
having me.
much.
Thanks.